Good evening, everybody. Time to start the stream. Thanks for coming along and joining us. All right. It'd be really cool if you guys could tell me if the music's too loud tonight, or if my vocal's not clear or something like that, because I'm just hearing the music right now. I don't listen back to my own vocal due to the delay. So yeah, if there's anything up with the audio levels tonight, please just give a shout and I'll adjust it accordingly. So right now, the awesome mix that's been playing the whole time is courtesy of Ronnie Priest. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Maybe Ronnie will come in tonight and read the weather or something from Wikipedia. That would be really cool. Give me one moment. I need to open my window. It's really warm. All right. Okay, so I'll just put the link in for this awesome mix that Ronnie supplied us with. Apparently it's copyright free, so we won't be hit by any copyright strikes later on. I hope. Otherwise I'll be doing some audio editing or putting some white noise in there or something like that. All right, so I'm gonna just pause the music for now because that's kind of distracting. All right, so tonight I'm going to be continuing with working on the VJ software, the gift that keeps on giving, the project that isn't done yet, and it's still got quite a while to go. So I think it was in the last stream, at the end of it, there was some talk about how to do this with like audio analysis, because so far it's all been done with this Ableton Live track that Obverse was kind enough to supply to us and to make for us, and we really appreciate that. Really great stuff. But in the end of the last stream, I remember we were talking about audio analysis because like the VJ software that I built in the past with other software, you go to a live venue, there's DJs, and you've got no idea what they're going to play. And there's a far from ideal world, and somehow you've got to make your visuals, most of the time beat match, beat sync. If you wonder why you've got to do that, well, if you see like a lighting engineer doing bad lights at a show, then you'll be like, okay, if they're just late or too early or out of time, it's very jarring. So it's very important to be able to adapt quickly on the fly. So this Ableton Live set, is really cool to get the ball rolling, get things going with cables, and I think it was really great for people to see how to just combine MIDI with cables in general. So tonight it's actually going to be, maybe it's going to seem that way, like 2 steps back away from this whole setup that was built. It's going to be going in there and trying to strip this down to something really minimal that we can do, basically. And by the way, if anybody would like to say hi, please go ahead, because it always gets so quiet over here, basically, if I don't see anything in the chat. So hi everybody, if anybody would like to say hi back, that would be lovely. Just need some caffeine for the next hour or two. Okay, so first thing is this. In a minute, I'm gonna just explain what my general plan is going to be for the rest of the night. The reason I don't have the typical green screen on is because most of the time you're going to be looking at my MIDI controllers that are set up. So in the last stream, I had the MIDI fighter from Panda. That's now being returned to him, and I've got my BCF 2000, which sounds like some big gun from Doom, which it kind of is for me. It's a very trustable, awesome MIDI controller. So I'm going to use in Launchpad MIDI, BCF 2000. So in a little bit, I'll be going off the cam, just pointing it there so you can see what I'll be doing with my hands. So basically what I want to do is, first of all, I want to kind of create like a beat sync system. What that means is I want to be able to basically tap a button, get roughly the BPM, hit a button, and re-trigger everything to start again. But it's got to be very seamless. It's got to seem like it's part of the live visuals. So that's going to be the first goal. The second goal after that is to combine that with real-time audio analysis. So I asked Ronnie Priest, if he could supply me some mixers. He was kind enough to do that. He gave me 3 of them. They should be copyright free. I'll be using one of them tonight. I put the link up there in the chat. Oh, did that work when I pointed up there? Is it that way? It's that way, I think. Yeah, okay, over there. So you can check that out later if you want. You can download it, show Ronnie some love online. So I'll be then doing audio analysis on that, and I'm going to be combining that with the beat sync stuff that I'm going to set up. So we're actually not going to be using the music from Obverse tonight. We're just going to be using this audio mix from Ronnie. Last time I'm going to say it, please. If my vocal isn't audible or if the music's too loud or something, I'm not listening back to the vocal and the music on the stream. It'd be echoey, so please just give a shout, put that in the chat, and I'll balance it accordingly. So yeah, here we've got the live visual stuff from the last stream, basically. Let's press C. All right, so this is pretty much it, and last stream we broke everything down into these kind of like sub-patches, like scene 1 and scene 2 and scene 3. So it's gonna be a bit slow going tonight. It's actually gonna go pretty quickly, but the stuff we built, the Ableton Live set, we're basically not gonna be using most of that. But the good news is it's gonna be pretty quick getting everything to work again. All right, so let's jump to live. This is where it gets interesting. So I'm just going to use Ableton Live now as like a master MIDI clock host. All right. And now I'm going to point at the MIDI controllers because that's very interesting. What I'll be doing tonight. I can't get everything on. So I mean, I'll be using these buttons and these knobs. So that's kind of clear. Just so you all know, here's my lucky mascot for tonight, Pickle Rick. Yeah, he's going to be talking me through this procedure. So if anybody doesn't type in Pickle Rick now, I'm going to be amazed. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get these 2 MIDI controllers, but I want to use them in live and cables. And that's where you hit a really big problem with MIDI devices that normally use USB. Once a program claims a MIDI device, it's claimed, and it is not available to another one. So if I would map the BCF 2000 to Ableton Live, even though it's available in cables, I will not be able to use it. The MIDI will just not work. That's just a limitation of USB MIDI. Same with the Launchpad. If I use this in cables, it's not going to be available to Ableton Live. So, of course, there's a workaround for this, and it's actually not that difficult. So the program that we use on Windows is Loop MIDI. And on Macintosh, you've got the IAC MIDI driver software. So all I did was, and I left this alone from the last streams where I set up like this MIDI loop that allowed me to do the MIDI with the Obverse set. I just made one extra virtual MIDI channel, and I just called it Loop MIDI Live Controllers. I'll explain why. So what's going to happen is I'm going to get these 2 controllers, and I'm going to send them to Ableton Live. So Ableton Live will receive everything from them. But because I'm just interested in MIDI CC data and MIDI notes, I can just pipe that through Ableton Live and send it to cables. Okay, so it sounds really complicated. It's not. So let's go to Options in Ableton Live. Let's go to Preferences. All right, so this is what I mean. You see here that this is red, right? That means that cables has claimed it. So I had cables already open before I started this, right? So that's a kind of problem. So somewhere in the MIDI section, I'm using the Launchpad, I think. Here we go. I'd already set it up just to test it out quickly today. All right. So basically, I'm just going to shut this down. I'm just going to go. Just going to copy this, and I'm just going to close it. I'm going to go back to live. Yeah, it's a bit annoying. Basically, you just have to remember to start live first. So let's get Ableton Live. I just want to show this because it can really just trip you up if you're not used to this. A lot of people really don't understand why this control just doesn't work with two of them, which I can completely understand. So now let's go back here, and as you can see, my launchpad just kicked in. That's why we've got the yellow bars there. So now we go to preferences, and as you can see, there's no red warning. And it's really great that Live 10 has this, because the old programs didn't tell you there was like a problem. So now if you look in the top right corner here, it's not so easy to see. Like right there where my mouse is, if I now move a MIDI knob or press a button, there's like key or MIDI information. So that's great. The one thing I don't want is, and I always find this a bit of a shame, I don't know why Live does this. I do not want to use these as control surfaces. I don't want the software to decide what my controllers are doing, and for some weird reason it always turns these back on no matter what I do. So just to summarize here, I've got input Launchpad MIDI with track and remote, and the BCF 2000 track and remote. And what I've got is I've got the virtual MIDI channel output live MIDI live controllers. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is this. Let's get rid of these two MIDI audio tracks. I'm going to call this one Launchpad, and I'll call this one BCF 2000. All right, and what I do now is just say MIDI from. Can I make this bigger? Oh, I spelled that wrong. Let me just see if I can make the zoom bigger in Live. I think that's kind of tiny. Look, feel, scene display, 120. Let's try it again. So I don't really need to do much here tonight. So hopefully this makes it all a bit clearer to you. So we've got Launchpad BCF 2000. So here I say MIDI from Launchpad MIDI. And if I'm going to hit the buttons now, as you can see, and I'm going to put it on monitor in, I now get input. But if I move this, I don't. And here I say MIDI from the BCF 2000, monitor in. So this is the BCF 2000, as you can see, and that little yellow dot there shows we've got this. So now all I do is I send, so I'm using these two channels to grab the MIDI, right? Which means they're also available in the rest of Live. And then I'm going to just say MIDI to loop MIDI live controllers. Just to recap, I didn't do anything special there. Let me just pop this open. All I did was I just made, with the plus button, I made an extra virtual MIDI track and I called it Loop MIDI Live Controllers. You could make 16 or 32 of these. So now what happens is this. Live has now grabbed the MIDI devices, right? Now I'm just going to send them through a MIDI channel to cables, right? So if I now go back to here and I paste that address in. So I'm just showing you this because if you think, why is my MIDI device not working in cables or vice versa? It can only be going to one program basically. So press C to center the patch. I'm going to go to MIDI all. Just going to go into full screen mode for a minute. All right, so let's just test this. So here I've got a loop MIDI device input, and here are my virtual MIDI tracks, right? So here you can see the Launchpad isn't available. And the reason that you see MIDI into BCF 2000 is because the BCF 2000 can output two MIDI channels via USB, basically. But this is not working. It's not activated. So I'll go here to Loop MIDI Live Controllers, okay? I'm going to press F to go into flow mode. And if you watch my hands for a minute, this is now the BCF 2000 coming in. But on the same device, we have the Launchpad, right? So that's how we get around this limitation, basically. So we're just streaming the MIDI through. Okay, so far, so good. So that's not so difficult if you just know how to do it. So let's go back to Live. You might be thinking, Andro, why would you be doing this? Well, basically, like I said, I want to use this as my master MIDI clock, right? So I'm going to go to Midi Learn here, and what this allows me to do is, if you're not familiar with Live and MIDI, it allows me to click on any of the elements on the screen now that is this kind of bluey color. I click it, if I press a MIDI button or move a MIDI knob, that will then be mapped there. So just to demonstrate for the people that aren't familiar with Live, I'm going to click this volume knob here, and I'll move this on the BCF 2000. And as you can see, there's a mapping that appears there. And now when I move this, as you can see, this goes up and down. Now if I want to get rid of a MIDI mapping, I click this, click there, press delete. All right, cool. So all I want to do is I want to go to the tap function, all right? And I'm going to press this. Sorry, I've just got to check this is visible in the webcam. Yeah, so I'm going to press this button, okay? So the bottom right button. And then I'm going to go to the play button. I'm going to press the next one up. The stop button, I don't want to have accidentally next to these two because I want to be very sure I'm going to press it. So I click that and I click Midi Learn and I press this one all the way up here. And I go to MIDI. Now, watch what's going to happen. So if I'm going to tap like 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, Live starts to play. Now pay attention to these numbers. These are the bars and the beats. The cool part of Live is if I press play now, it just keeps playing with the same BPM, but it goes back to 1-1. Now, let's just leave this playing for a minute. The VJ software should be doing something now. There we go. So what's happening? Well, with our MIDI setup, what we did was we got the MIDI clock up right here, right? So that's what we were using in the Obverse Live set. And as you can see, there's the MIDI clock, and every 16th, every 8th, every quarter, every half, and every full bar, there is a trigger, okay? So this will now follow me if I 1, 2, 3, 4, sync. And now the BPM has changed. So that is it in a nutshell. That is how we track and follow a DJ. That's it. It's really not that complicated. Now I just want to point out in cables, we've got, in case you don't have Live, right, or a sequencer to do this, we have the BPM tap op. And this will allow you to do the kind of same thing. So if I tap here a few times, sorry, it needs an executable trigger, sorry. So I'm just going to do this. I just want to show you this. I'm just doing it with Live because that's a lot easier for me to use right now. So I'm going to go here and I'm just going to grab T1. T1 is just an external trigger, right? So this needs this. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you can see, we've now got the BPM there. And if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, it goes up. So this is another way to do it. I'll show later on in the stream how we can kind of use this to create something similar to this. The problem is you can't get anything faster than a quarter right now with this setup. So that's what I'll be using Live. But BPM tap, really handy, and you can replicate everything I'm going to do roughly without Ableton Live. All right, let's save. So we don't have any music. Now, I already uploaded Ronnie's mix today. You could stream this by using the audio player op. The reason I'm not going to do that is because I want to be able to jump and skip through the audio, basically. So we've got a couple of audio ops actually for this. We've got the audio buffer and the audio player. So the audio buffer allows you to hold an audio file on a sample. You plug that into the audio player, it'll allow you to play it. That's linked to the timeline, but I'm not working with a timeline, right? If I'm doing a live VJ show, I'm just freewheeling it the whole night. We got the audio buffer player, and what I'm looking for is the media player. Now, let's get one thing clear. This media player, right? If you're going to some club or some venue and you want to do what I'm going to do now, you're just basically going to use the microphone op, right? So you're going to plug like a mini jack into your PC or your Macintosh. So you'd say to the sound guy, like, hey, I need a copy of the DJ's output, and you just plug that into your sound card or into your microphone in, and the microphone in would replace what I'm going to do with the media player right now. It's just your music in, right? So let's go to the media player up. Like I said, I already uploaded Ronnie's mix, so I click File here in the bottom right corner, and then the file browser pops open. I click this. So I'm going to grab that now. And I just need to hear something, right? So to do that, we go here and we type in output, and that gives us audio output. Now, it's not playing yet because we've got to click the play button. Now, due to browser security, you basically want to use this op, the play button. So I'm going to grab it. It needs a trigger. Okay, and basically what this does is it means it creates a user interaction on the screen because a while ago the way browser technology works changed because, you know, you'd go to a web page and you'd get just music playing all the time and stuff would just happen. And basically they implemented this where there has to be a user interaction to trigger audio most of the time. So here we have the clicked. So I'm going to drag this out, grab a trigger changed true. It will only trigger if the value is changed to true. So I'm going to get that. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to plug that into play. I'm going to put the volume on 0.5 and fingers crossed and hope it works. Okay, great. So let's move this over here. So you might think, why am I using the media player? Well, you know, if I've got to reload the patch because of something, it's got this really cool option here, which is seek position. So I can just jump ahead in the mix, basically. This is like really handy for doing the stream. So I'm just going to save. Is the audio balance okay? Can you guys still hear me loud and clear over the music? I hope so. All right. So if not, please just post it there in the chat. So as you can see, my visuals are not going in time with the music, right? So what I'm going to do now is this. So I've tapped and then and as you can see, the visuals are now in time. That quick and that easy if you've already done a little bit of work. Okay, so let's get one thing clear. You're gonna get drift, right? It's like I've tapped the approximate BPM, and that's gonna be good for like, I don't know, depending on my sense of timing, it could be anywhere between 30 seconds to a minute and a half. So the good news is I can just press the play button, and as you can see, I'm just re-triggering everything, right? So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, trigger. So that's the basic setup. That's like how you do things to stay in sync with a DJ during a live set. So just to recap, because I know this might be a lot for people to take in if they're not used to this. Ableton Live is sending its MIDI clock out, right? If we go here to preferences, MIDI, this is what we're looking at. Loop MIDI to cables sync. So this thing here is sync. This is sending the MIDI clock, and you see that here in the top left corner, that little flashing blue square. So that means that when I press this button here, this starts again, right? Goes to 1, 1 every time. So here I can tap the beat. As you can see, I just did something stupid. It's 280, but I could tap double speed, like, and then re-trigger, and then go back. So that's just it. And you know, this is nice because it takes practice, right? You've got to be able to, you've got to at least be able to tap along to the music. And that pressing play again, it's like stop play instantly, but it's so fast that, you know, people don't notice the visuals are still going. So that's step number 1, all right? So now, of course, the whole system that we had for the visuals, it's not gonna add up anymore because we built it to this Obverse set, right? So that means all of this might not work so good anymore. So look here, we've got like a snare trigger, we got a kick trigger, you know, and that all came in from like exact MIDI notes from the Ableton Live files. That just isn't going to work anymore, right? So let's create something similar to it. So we're going to have to make this a more simplified version because the Obverse set gave us a wealth of information like kick, snare, hi-hat, bass line, 2 to 3 lead synths. You know, we don't have that information anymore. All we've got is a BPM, MIDI clock, triggers which go in a 1/16, 1/8, 1/4, 1/2, and a bar. And now we're going to build an audio analyzer setup. Okay. Now, I actually want to have this all with the MIDI. I want to have the audio and the MIDI together because, like, I just don't want to have to jump back between patches. So I'm going to cut this. Stops the audio. Go into MIDI all. And this is all the MIDI. So you know what? I'm just gonna go over here to the side. So the play button needs a trigger. So I'm gonna zoom in. I'm gonna pull this up. I'm gonna grab a trigger, receive op, and the way I do it is just T1, trigger 1. That's just like this extra trigger, basically. And I'm going to reset this. Now, sometimes when I want to reset this and go from the beginning, it's just a little trick I do. You know, you can do this in your own way. I grab the mouse, and most of the time I use like the right mouse button. So if I just want to reset it, I'm playing, and if I right click, I get that play button back. It's just a little force of habit with stuff that I do. So this is why I use the media player up. Now I can jump forward in time. I'll go back to where we were. Okay. All right, so just taking a quick look. Yeah. All right, let's just fold this up for a minute. Okay. All right, so what we want to do now is we want to set up this audio analysis. So the good news is, hold it, give me one moment. There's absolutely no need to reinvent the wheel. I just need to find something for a minute. There we go. There we go. Okay, I just needed to find a link. Okay. So this is actually something that I made for a tutorial a while ago, and it was about audio analysis in the Bicourt Filter op. So I don't remember everything that I do in cables, so it's great to have these resources to go into. Okay, so basically I'm interested in this. Let's just take a quick peek. This is the audio buffer player, right? That's like the audio output. Got a visualizer section there. Okay, so I already built like a low, mid, high filter setup. You guys can grab this as well. That's exactly what I'm gonna do, because the trick is gonna be mapping this to do what I want. Okay, so let's move this up for a minute, out of the way. It might be a good idea just to grab that whole thing there, right? Yeah, let's just do this. Okay. All right, so just copied. I'm gonna go into the patch. Okay, so let's make this a little bit easier to follow. So I'm just gonna add a comment. I like things to be clear, so I'm just gonna audio stuff. All right, so I'm gonna paste all that in. So this needs a trigger, obviously. So I'm just gonna go here, trigger receive, and I'm gonna get a T1. Okay. Now, the reason I'm probably not seeing anything is because... Okay, so look, this is our audio, right? So I'm just going to grab this. Let's move this up here. So it's kind of like how it was in the other patch. So we're going to grab that, and we're going to plug it in here. I'm going to plug that in there, zoom in a bit so it's easier for everybody to see. Okay. Press F, flow mode. Okay. I'll just close this. All right, just getting a bit confused there of what I was hearing. All right. I'm just confused why I'm not seeing any audio out. Audio in, audio out. Is it playing? Should be, because I'm hearing audio. All right, I'm just gonna save. Just gonna reload. I'm not sure what that is. Should cut out the audio, okay. You know, this is not stuff I've ever really done before with cables, so you know, stuff can go wrong, stuff will go wrong. I suppose that's the whole point of this being live. Let's press play. All right. That is incredibly strange to me. So I'm not sure what it is right now with flow mode, because we're not seeing any audio activity, but there is audio activity. I can see that right now from the audio analyzer with the average volume. Okay, so right now I want to get a visualizer. All right, you know what? I'm just gonna pause this for a minute. Okay, so right now, okay, I need to plug this into here. Still not seeing anything, no. So this is being rendered after everything there, basically. Let's just check this for a minute. So T1, and then we have final render. So I click final render there, and I get T1, and I'll put it afterwards. There we go. Yeah, so basically what was happening was T1 was sending a trigger, and that was rendering some rectangles on the screen, but then the final render trigger was going through, and that was overriding what was there, basically. So let's go back in here. Let's just render order, basically. And let's just scale all of this, because this is just from a different patch, so can't expect that to magically match up. All right, so let's just press play for a minute. So a right click with the mouse button, press play. Okay, so this is my visualizer. So this is really, it's kind of challenging in a live environment to tweak this to act correctly. It's really not an easy thing to do. You know, it takes practice. It's kind of like having a living instrument. You know, you gotta keep working with it to get better at it. That's something I always loved about doing live visuals. Just, you know, things can go wrong, and that's awesome. That's just like live music, basically. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna move this down. I want to have this visualize at the bottom of the screen, right? So I'm just going to put it there. And now it shouldn't matter what scene that I go into. We've got that. Okay, cool. That's working pretty good. All right. So these visuals to me aren't going to like match up exactly right now, because they were made to the Ableton live set, which is something very different. So first of all, what I'm going to do now is I want to be able to tweak this, right? So let's take a look at the bass. So as we can see here, I'm going to make this window bigger. All right. So you see the little yellow rectangle there? That's like the area right now that the audio analyzer is looking at, okay? So what I've got here is like this threshold, and this is really difficult to get right. It's like, it's really kind of difficult. And as we can see here, I'm gonna hold the mouse over this, and I see there's like a minimum of 0.03 and a max of 0.05. Now that's happening because we're like grabbing this really small slice, right? If I'm gonna open up the frequency now, like this, let's say I put it on 400, as you can see, there's more information there now. But what's happening is, we actually need to do this. You get the audio analyzer output. All right, let me disconnect this. So I'm gonna get this. I just wanna see only this one. Let me jump in. So we've got this FFT rate out, basically. Right, there we go. Yeah, so there we go. You see that yellow square there? That's basically what we're using to... yeah, this is tricky because here I'm using the average volume. And this is probably going to give me better results. I might just swap this up for tonight, actually. Yeah, you know what? Let's just do this. So I'm not going to go with the average volume. All right, let's just do this for now. All right, so I'm just going to disconnect these guys. I just don't want to see anything but that right now. So this is threshold. Let's get this FFT area average. Needs a trigger. Let's patch that back in. Okay, so we're going to get the threshold up. Now, the threshold up, that's really key here. What it does is levels go up and down. And like if you use a standard if check, like, I don't know, if the number's greater than 0.5, send a trigger. You know, every single frame it's above 0.5, you're going to get a trigger. It'll be like a machine gun. So what the threshold up does is it says, give me a number, give me a threshold. If I go above the threshold, I send out a trigger, but I won't send out a new one until I've gone under the threshold and back above it again. So that's a really good way to kind of tame audio stuff. So I'm going to go here to FFT. I'm going to put this on input, and this now just needs this. Now we're not seeing any movement yet because let's take a look at this. Now I've got a more dynamic range. Instead of like 0.03 and 0.05, it's 0.13 max, 0.31. So let's put this on 0.3. Okay, press F. Still too much. 0.2. Now we're getting a lot of false triggers there. Now, the thing is, this number is really jumping up and down it's very noisy, right? When you do audio analysis, it's very noisy. You know, a lot of people really think this is an exact science, but it's not. It doesn't work like that. So what I want to do now is I just want to grab, let me get rid of this. So this is going to be what I'll use. So FFT area average has this texture out. So I'm going to use this now to debug stuff, right? So there I can see the volume. All right, let's put that width there. Height I can make a lot smaller. So I'm going to turn off FF flow mode. That always slows the frame rate down. Okay. So min 0.4, max 0.8. Okay. So right now I only want to get this working with the bass. So let's grab the Bicourt filter output. Here's the problem. So we've still got, I forgot to lower the frequency. So we've still got a lot of mid in there. So now put it on 100, my mistake. This is why this stuff is really handy if you can visualize it. So let's just take a look here. Yeah, okay, so this is why, all right. Let's put it on 0.4. 0.35. It's getting better. So the thing is, what I can do is I can throw, and right now I'm just using the bang up for this, right? So that there's a trigger. So I'm just thinking, if I grab the smooth up, this smooths out jumps in values. So what I want to do is I want to have really sharp transients still, but I want to have it go down a little bit slower so it's less jittery. So I'm gonna put it on 1 and I don't know 8. Let's take a look at the value. I think I got it the wrong way around. 8 and 1. Could be too much. 4. 1, 4. So the problem we've got here is it's just there's not enough dynamic range. Let's try and get some more down. So if I make this bigger, the average is going to be... And this is the thing I'm thinking about now, like 100 Hertz, it's okay, but it's kind of flappy. Okay, so now I'm just going to put it on a really high Q. So you're going to have to check out the tutorial to see what that is. I'm just trying to get the dynamic range in there. It's not so easy right now though. This is looking better, like that yellow bar there, you know, you want it to be going from low to high basically. So here's the thing, it's now not dropping low enough. So let's go here, max 0.79. This is really not working so good. I think I'm on a part of the mix that doesn't really have much bass. I might have just gone to a part of the mix where Ronnie's used the high pass filter to filter out all the bass. I think that's what just happened. Ah, there's the bass, okay. Which can also happen. Alright, let's put this down on, say 4. Something really crazy. Let's just put it on 4, it should be okay. Yeah, I'm not so happy with this right now. There's something I'm really missing. It's been a while since I did this. Okay, there's the real bass kicking in now. That number's just almost not changing. Let's put you back to 1. You know what? Let's drop the threshold for a minute. I just need to be able to see what's going on here. Let's just plug this into scale. Yeah, I just want to see what's happening. Okay, let's just start from here. I wish I had like a min and max out from this. That'd be really handy. So basically I want that square there to be pumping. So let's see what I gotta do to make that happen. Maybe get a bit of cleaner bass, a bit punchier. So the problem is the audio analyzer always gives this really low number out of the average volume. 256 default value. Yeah, not so happy with this right now. But audio analysis is always really tricky. I've got this feeling I'm really missing something here. Okay, this will do for now. So I'm just going to give myself a note here. I'm just going to type in MIDI bass. I want to match something later on from this to this like threshold. It might just even be that I like put the threshold on just like 0.9 and just add a multiplier up front. Because it's like far from an exact science. I mean, and this is just a visualizer. So let's just try this now. So I'm going to go here. This shouldn't work about. Oh, there we go. So now I'm just going to grab same stuff as before. Well, that was unexpected. Well, no, it wasn't. I accidentally plugged. It wasn't the FFT area average. My bad. That's what happens if you plug audio into a texture. Okay, let's start again. Yeah, I'm gonna have to make a note that that should be checked for and it shouldn't be possible, basically. All right, let's start the audio. And let's go in here. That was a silly mistake, but I wasn't really looking. All right, so that was yeah, I'm wondering if I should just use this FFT area average or not. Let's just give it a try. It's a live stream. Not everything goes the way you like when you're doing this stuff, especially for the first time. So let's grab this, plug that there. Let's give basic material now a texture, not audio. Hey, there we go. All right. So what we're doing right now is we're listening to the mid, right? So let's see if we can get this to do what we want. So we go to the Bicourt Filter. I'm going to move that. So I can actually see that this is where most of it's like this hi-hat part actually. Okay, let me listen to all the audio. You know, I think I'm just gonna... I'm not gonna focus too much right now on getting the bass mid high. I think I'm just gonna keep it on 2 for now, like bass and low. Basically, so let's just disconnect that. So this is a band pass, which is like a kind of U shape, right? Like a kind of only allows a specific band in like a U shape to pass. I could use like a low pass, but let's keep it here for now. Let's put this on 3000. That's where you can also find a snare. Okay. Yeah, bass is always like kind of difficult to get right. So, because bass moves very slowly, it doesn't have very sharp transients. Wow. Okay. Yeah, you know, I think I'm just not going to use the FFT area average. I'm just getting better values. Just average volume out here. All right, let's see if we can smooth it a little bit. Okay. So if we look here, I'm going to put it on a really high number now. I want it to really fly up very quickly, but to come down smoother, right? 16 is like way too high. 4 is already enough. We just want to smooth these transients out a little bit. We can put it on like 0.2, so it's even faster. Okay. Now the thing is, what we're going to do later is we're going to just somehow we just got to like we've got to map like this frequency to a MIDI controller. The Q I'm not going to touch for now, and like this threshold, right? Because like here you see the FFT area average, but we're actually looking at the threshold output here. It's just like 0.3. It's really, really noisy. Okay, 0.6. This is better. Okay. So yeah, this threshold, that's like kind of key, because what we're doing is we're just saying that once you cross the threshold, send out a bang, you know, send out a trigger. And then we're using bang just to get this duration, basically. And how fast you do it, that also has to do with if it feels right. Like, you know, if we put this on like 1 second, it's a very different feeling if we put it on 0.25. The kick though, I'm really not happy with the bass analysis right now. So okay, the snare thing feels better. Let's get back to this one. You know, and the track obviously has to have a good amount of bass. All right, let's disconnect this one. Make sure we're plugging the texture into a basic material. Just going to save. Okay. So I'm going to go to this Bicourt filter, and I'm actually just going to put it on bandpass now. Yeah, okay, I think that was the problem. So, you know, if I put this on like, okay, yeah, all right. So if the Q is low, it's very wide on the left and the right side of 100 Hertz, which means it gets a lot more information. If we put this on like 10, then we're really grabbing like, I don't even know if you can hear this right now, but we're grabbing like this subsonic part. Yeah, this is better. So it sounds like really bad, but you know, we're not bothered about that because we're just doing audio analysis, right? So let's see if we can get these two now to snap a little bit. Yeah, okay, this is feeling better now. You know, this is a trick, right? You got to learn to play around with these audio settings. So this, of course, isn't only picking up the snare, it's picking up some of the synths and stuff like that. Now imagine I wouldn't want this to work anymore, like the snare part, you know, just put this on 1, right? Doesn't do anything. This is bad. Okay, this is better. Great, let's save. All right, so, sorry, that took a while. So I'm feeling a bit rusty right now with this stuff. It's been a while, but once you get going, it's all good. All right, so here's the BCF 2000 launch pad. So just to recap, this is all the MIDI coming in from Ableton Live. So let's just set this up nice and quick. So what I'm going to do now is just going to give my ears a slight break so I can just focus. It's not so easy to do all this with this awesome mix from Ronnie. So let's go ahead and click pause. Okay.
So let's press F for flow mode. Yeah, all right, this is working. That's cool. So what I want to do is, and this can take a while to get right, because, you know, audio to visual stuff, that's not as easy as it sounds. So let me update my note. So, band pass to get the kick, band pass to get the snare. All right, so the threshold, that's a really important part. I'm not using a smooth because on the bass, because bass is already low energy anyway, low frequency, so it moves slower than mid-high frequencies basically. If you want to check that, just open it in the spectrum analyzer. All right, so let's for now just keep it nice and simple. What we're going to do is we're going to just attach something to the frequency, the Q, the threshold. Now, you know, we could leave the threshold on a fixed number and change the gain. Just speaking out loud to myself, that could work. But I want to, I don't know, let's just try this out. Okay, so I'm just going to pause it. So I'm going to go to the this here. So what I'm going to do is, using the controller here, so I'm going to use these two knobs. Okay, so first of all, let's map them and give them a name, because otherwise I'm not going to remember what all this is later. So I'm going to just type here, audio analysis bass frequency. I'm going to copy that, I'm going to click here, and then type in bass Q, and we're going to grab another one of these, paste it under there, and then I'm going to call it bass threshold. So let me think about this. Normally I do this with variables, but because I know these are only going to be controlling these for now, I'm just going to pull them over. It might look slightly messy, but that's okay. So it's really important to think first, like, what's your minimum and maximum range that you want to be doing this with? Like, I constantly know as a sound guy that I'm never going to go below 100 or above 300 hertz. Like, and 300 is also just turning right into mush, but you just never know what you're going to get in a DJ set. But you know what, actually, I'm just going to put it on 100 to 300, and then that'll mean like 200, which gives you more like the thumping part of a kick. It just means if I put my dial in the middle, I know I'm in the center, I'm on 200. You've also got to make this stuff in a way that makes sense to you. So I'm going to go here to this MIDI CC. I'm going to click Learn, and I'm going to turn this, and it's updated. I'm now going to go to this one, let's say Clear, and I'm going to say Learn, turn this one, it's now mapped to 2. I'm going to go to this one. Sorry, it's a little bit small there for you guys maybe. And that's going to be this fader, right? You know what, actually? Yeah, so what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to grab another one of these. I'm going to add that there. Sometimes stuff comes in too loud. Like, DJs are notorious for crunching their mix into the red, which is really bad because, like, you just have no dynamic information then. So there's going to be times when you just can't use this. So here I'm going to do bass gain. Okay. All right, so here we go. That was this one. That's this one. And this one I'm now going to click Clear just to be sure. Learn. That's this one here. Did that one come through? Let me just check. Yeah, okay, it's there. The number's there, okay. And this one is going to be the next fader. So I'm going to say Clear, Learn. Here we go. Recap. Frequency on the audio frequency range. Q, the narrowness or the width of the Q. The amount of audio gain.
and the level of the threshold. These two are going to be really interchangeable with each other. So now we've got to think about the min-max, right? So Bicourt filter, like I said, 100 to 300. So let's make this really nice and easy. We're going to get this MIDI CC, and we're going to click normalize 0 to 1. Okay, so I'm going to pull this, whoa, wrong one. I'm going to get the CC value out, and I'm going to grab the map range up. It's your friend, map range is life. So let's go here. So I want to go from 0 to 1, and then from 100 to 300. Okay. Let's look at the Q. So the Q I put on a crazy number like 10. I know that if I'm going to go lower than 4, it's probably going to suck. So grab this map range. I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to grab the CC value out, plug that into value, pull this down. So once again, 0 to 1. Let's put this, on 0 to 1, and go here. And then I'm going to just put it from 4 to 10. Okay. Bass gain, that's only 0 to 1, basically. Audio gain doesn't go any more than that, basically, if I'm correct. Yeah. I'm not sure why it's doing anything if it's on 0, though. That just might be... That's really strange. Okay. Ah, no way. Are you kidding me? Are you telling me this thing outputs even if it's on 0? No. Okay. I have to find out. 1 minute. Let's try it. So right click, left click. I'm not even sure if that's doing anything right now. Let's go into 0.6, 0.7. I don't think this gain is working. Okay. So I'm just going to leave it as it was, at 0. Let's try the gain up. See if this does anything. All right, turn on flow mode. Okay. I'm very confused right now. Okay, 1 minute. I have to grab this. We need to update these sliders so it can't go below 0. So that's what I'm going to do then. All right, so that'd be really tricky to kind of get right. I suppose 1. Let's just keep it on 1 to 0 for now. That's okay. Let's just do that. All right, so we're going to get the gain. Control C, Control V. I'm going to pop that in here as well. Okay. All right, this is taking more shape now. Just going to pause it. All right. So I don't need to do a map range, but you know what? I'm going to do one just in case I need to do something differently with it later on the fly. CC value out to value. We're just going to leave it on 0 to 1 and 0 to 1. Okay. And this is the threshold. So I'm just going to put that on 0 to 1, basically. Same thing. I'm just leaving those ups there, just in case I just need to patch something in later. Okay, so this is going to go to the bass frequency. And this is going to go into the Bicourt filter Q. I'll have to check these ups out again with the gain stuff. This is going to go into the gain, and this is going to go into the threshold. Now, you know, it's really nice that when I'm like doing this, that I can look at this min-max stuff, but you know, I can't do that in a live environment. So now I'm going to lower this, and let's just see if it's working. Okay, so this one has to go on 0 to 1. This one as well. So look, this is the threshold. So I'm just going to pull it down now. Cool. That works out of the box. All right. Let's get this. Let's grab this one. Plug that one in there. So I can raise the threshold and it's gonna trigger less. So if I pull it like down like this, it's gonna get pretty jittery. Crank it up, turn it down a bit. And I'm just gonna turn it down until. Now the thing is, I said before, oh, we don't need that smooth, but because we've got like such a narrow cue, it's like really, really popping through now. So we're gonna grab this, we're gonna plug that into value. We're gonna get the trigger, because smooth needs a trigger. We're gonna plug that into threshold now. Aha! Yes, that's what I wanna see. Much more stable. Nice. Okay. All right. Now we're getting in the direction that I wanted to go in, basically. Let's get rid of these guys. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to paste it there. We're going to get the CC, plug it in there. All right. So this is going to be high. Leave comments for yourself. It's just kind of like coding. You don't know when you're going to be looking at it again. And it makes life a little bit easier if you're reading that stuff again in the future. If anybody's got any questions in the meantime, please feel free to throw it into the chat. And I'll do my best to answer. And we've got views tonight, but it's kind of quiet in the chat room. Okay, so now let's look at this one. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing, but the frequency range is going to be different. So I'm going to put the frequency on 1 to 4K. So we go here to map range 1000 to 4000. This is for the mid, okay? The Q I'm going to put on 4 to 10. Is that what I already had? Yeah, okay. Gain is 0 to 1. Yeah, okay, sure. Let's do this. Let's plug it in. I'm just going to get rid of this for now. Don't need it. Let's move this down a little bit so it's more spread out. Okay. Let's plug this into the Q. Let's get this, plug it into the gain. And this we're gonna plug into the threshold. All right. Let's just check this out. Now of course this isn't gonna work because I didn't do a Midi Learn. So I'm gonna clear. I'm gonna do Learn. Move this one. Go here. Click Clear. Learn. That's this one. Go here, clear, learn, move this third one, go here, clear, learn, fourth one. All right, so let me just see what's going on here. All right, so now I'm changing the frequency, right? Move the threshold up, put it all the way in 1. Turn that Q up. And I just turn that all the way up to 3000. Turn that Q down a bit. Not perfect, but close enough. All right. That's the basic audio analysis part set up. Just gonna save. Now let's fade this stuff back in again. Okay, so like I said before, Okay, looks like we got some kind of bot coming in. How do we block these people? How does this work again? Steen, I don't know if you're there. Would you be able to block this Hiscada 137 so it's not going to start posting my stuff in the room? I have no idea how to do that during a stream. Okay. So now we've got this basic stuff set up. So we've got this timing information, but that means we're going to need to do some retweaking. So I'm going to go back to this scene here. The last thing we've got to do is get this information, right? And I've got two options here. I can use like the volume, right? And I can use the bang that comes from the threshold. I'm just going to leave those there for a minute. Just going to go back. So we're doing this all now with the BPM sync. So I'm going to go to patch 1. Let's start making this a little bit cooler. Because we got this stuff here. Okay. Yeah, we got kick and snare. Right, that's where I was going with this, okay? So let's just call kick snare like kick, bass, snare, high, right? So let's do here MIDI, audio, all right. Let's go in here. Okay, so far so good. So that's what I want to do. So we're actually looking. There we go. It's just these two, kick and snare trigger. So I'm just going to copy them because nothing's coming in, right? I can just reuse them. So I'm going to paste them here. So let's get this guy, plug it in there. Let's get this guy, plug it in here. So if I'm going to put the threshold all the way up on these guys. Wow, load again as well. That gain. Okay, look, I can just see it. Wow, all right. Yeah, I'm really gonna have to investigate the gain stuff. Because gain 0 is, you know, audio multiplied by 0 is 0 unless it's working like a traditional mixer, which would be like minus 74 and minus 128 to not have audio. You guys can't see it, but I am nodding my head. It's a really cool mix from Ronnie. Hey, Ronnie. Nice of you to join. How's it going? Thanks for the mix, man. It's really appreciated. It's good stuff. All right. So. Now, this all needs a tweak again now because it was built to this exact Ableton Live set, which does not mean it's going to work the same now. So we're gonna just break it down. Let's take a peek at this. So don't forget flow mode. Always slows the FPS down a little bit. Okay. Okay, so this is like these really long numbers with a smooth. Yeah, maybe there's a reason they were so long. Let's put it on 12. All right, so big part that like makes the visuals look kind of cool is the post effects. If I'm correct, yeah. Okay, so like this stuff is like taken from the bass gate. We don't have that because that's the old obverse set. So let's grab snare. Anything else here? Is that all the post-processing I did? It's been a while. Let's take a look at what's going on here, because that zoom blur is not doing a lot. Ah, this is a snare gate. Right, okay. So this is when the MIDI note was open or closed. Once again, we don't have that, right? Or do we? Or do we? Yeah, okay, let's pump this up to 9,000. So we've got the snare gate there. This is just something I want to show. So, let's go to the MIDI part. Yeah, let's go to the MIDI part here. Okay. So let's look at, if I'm correct, it's down here with notes. Yeah, okay, so it's like MIDI note, right? So let's look at snare gate. Okay. Yeah, okay, cool, let's try it. I mean, I don't need to get rid of this stuff that I did before. So we're gonna go here and we'll go to, that's receiving, okay, MIDI in notes. So don't forget the search function in MIDI is your friend. So I'll go here now and I'm just gonna select this Control-C. I'm gonna press Control-F. It's gonna open up search in the patch view. I'm gonna type this in. This is great. This now just shows me everywhere where this is being used. So this is the get object, this is the set object. I'm gonna click it and it's now gonna take me there. 1 minute. Double click it and make this a bit smaller. There we go. All right, so that's coming there. Just curious. No, okay. That's because they're sending directly. Okay, so I'm just gonna try something out here. So I know I've got this MIDI coming from the controllers. Right, so if we go to live, if you think about it, right, there's so many ways to generate triggers. So I'm going to Control-Shift-M, or is it Control-Shift-T, insert a MIDI track. Let's go here, let's just get a MIDI note. And let's check what the MIDI note was inside the cables. So the snare gate was E1, MIDI note 40. Okay. All right. So let's go here. E1. Just do that. Then we can send the MIDI now to. Was it loop MIDI part that we did? Loop MIDI to cables. That kind of explains it, right? So even though I don't have O-verses set now, yeah, okay, let's do this. Let's just show you guys how we can do this. All right. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm getting one MIDI note and I'm just sending that out of live back to the original channel we had before. And that's here. And that should now trigger this. Okay, so basically it's really cool actually, you know. Maybe I don't want to mix this stuff up now. I could just actually just say send it to Loop MIDI Live controllers. Let's just do Loop MIDI to cables. I don't want to rebuild everything again. Okay, so like the over set, I was just sending MIDI out, right? I was just reading the MIDI from Obverse's live set. So I could go here now and I could just rename this Control R and call it 1-1. Okay, Control D to duplicate. I'm gonna double tap and then Control D. I'm gonna make this Control R 1-2. This is where it gets really interesting, right? So I'll just grab a drink. I'm now gonna press MIDI. I'm gonna grab the second. Sorry if you can't see that. Let's slide this over a little bit. I'm gonna grab the second row here because I always think like kick, snare. All right, so let's just say I'm gonna go here and press this, go here and press this. Let's say I want them to stop. I always use the top button. So I'll go here to the global stop button, press this. And what this means is now, so I can now beat sync, right? Re-trigger. And now I can pick like a different intensity of MIDI data that I'm sending through. And it's just general time and information. There's nothing really crazy here. So let me just grab this now and do this. Maybe the mix finished. Okay, hold it. Let's go back here. Start it from the beginning, okay. All right, 1 minute, back on track. So basically, I'm just using these MIDI clips inside of Ableton Live to store ideas, right? So let me just go here and show you what I'm talking about. Sorry guys, got slightly distracted there. MIDI. So I just use this kind of rule, like the more I go down, the more intense everything gets. So let's go here now, rename it. I'm just calling it 1/8. I don't even know if it's 1/8. It doesn't really matter. Control 1, and lower the quantization rate. You know, we can just like put this on half size. Control D. And we're gonna move it here. So now if I go to MIDI, let's map that last one, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay. And this is why at the start I wanted to show you like, hey, if we get these MIDI devices and we route them through to Ableton Live, we can then send them through to cables, you know, so I'm now able to control cables and Ableton Live with this one MIDI controller. All right, let's take a peek. So if I'm gonna go here now, I've got that more rapid notes, right? Maybe I can make this a little bit easier to see next to each other. It's gonna become a bit tiny though. So And now you can see that zoom blur is only happening on these notes. So this is really, really cool, right? I'm like kind of storing these ideas there inside of Ableton Live. We can totally do this with just cables ops. Like the interpolate numbers array op is really what I would use for this. But then just jump through it steps. We could give it like dynamic ranges and stuff. We can go completely bonkers with that and make it really generative. Just don't want to do that right now because I'm just working on getting the framework set up. So let's go here. Now, of course, all these patches need to be tweaked again. I mean, they were built to a completely different Ableton Live set, but I mean, they've already got quite a lot of the beat sync down. So let's do this and rename. I'm just going to call it Snare Gate. You know, we could make another one now. Control Shift T. Could call it Kick Gate, Bass Gate, whatever. And that's the cool part about what we did with the other Ableton Live set. It's kind of like, yeah, it's a way to just reuse this stuff without having to go from scratch. So if you look here, it's C#1 for the kick and E1. Is it C#1? Ah, yeah, sub kick is on C1. All right, so C#1. So I'm just going to go back to live just to try this out. And this is the cool part now, right? I've got this information here. Just do Control C, Control V, and I'll just paste it there. And all I've got to do now is move it to C1. So if we look here at C#1, so that means it's got to go down 1, 2, 3 notes. So we could transpose all these one for one in the clip, but I'm lazy. So we're just going to go to Midi Effects, and we're going to go to Pitch, and minimize this. Don't need these audio views right now. The send and return, I mean. So here we go. E, D sharp, E, D sharp, D, C sharp. So that's down 3. So we go here and we just say pitch -3. And that now means that we've pitched it down 3 notes. And we don't need to do anything more with these clips. So I'm going to go loop MIDI to cables. And this should now, if we've got the kick gate anywhere, once again, search as your friend. I'm going to go here and do Control C, Control F, Control V to paste. And I want to see where it's used, just so I've got a clue like what it's doing in the patch. So I double click it, and it takes me here. So I'm inside patch 2 right now. Right? Yeah, that's the one that's running here. And what does that actually change? Ah, we didn't play it yet. Okay. Yeah, multitasking. So go here to MIDI, click this, learn, click learn, click learn, click learn. All right, because we didn't trigger them yet to play, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's the kick gate kicking in. Turn off flow mode. Now look at this, right? This is like pretty beat synced right now. And you know, we're not doing it like we did to the traditional obverse stuff. We're doing it with just like the BPM tap. We're starting to build real simple timing clips inside of Ableton Live. This is a really cool framework now because it's like the beginning of something that I can just reuse again and again later. And it doesn't matter what DJ is going to be there. Now, if we look here at the screen, I'm going to just press F11. So I'm not seeing any snare stuff, right? So I need to lower the threshold here. This track doesn't really have any snare in there. So I can tap halftime, right? Just to slow it down. Feels very frantic to me right now though. I'm just gonna take a look and see what's happening. I think it's that kick trigger. It's just making everything go bonkers. Yeah. So while we're at it, why don't we check out scene 1? Ah, did I map this? Ah, that's silly. I mapped it wrong. There we go. So this just needs to be the second one. Okay. Now, of course, I'm not very happy with how everything's come together right now because it's like going from one setup to another. So you know what? Let's start tweaking these rules. So we're gonna go to scene 1. So originally, this had this movement on Z from the snare trigger. And this is just moving too fast. I think I had this on a quarter before. That was it. So let's put this actually on a half. Slow it down a bit. I think it's also because the set from Overse was about a good 15-20 beats per minute slower than this set from Ronnie. So yeah, you know, that also has to change a little bit, I suppose. But I mean, this is kind of getting there. So if I'm gonna crank that snare trigger up, it's gonna all calm down a lot. So what you're seeing there is that zoom blur, that's caused by the kick, right? That's here. So if I'm gonna press this one now, it's not gonna, or is that the, or is that the kick gate? Let's take a peek. Ah, it's the snare gate, okay. I'm gonna put this on kick gate. Now this is a mistake that I made, right? Yeah, okay, think about it. So you're kicking your snare, they're never on the same time. What was I thinking? I got it mixed up. So, you know, if this is the kick, right, it starts on the downbeat, the down bar there, right? But this wouldn't do that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this now. Completely messed this up a little bit here, right? So this has to be half. Yeah, okay. Now I get what I did wrong. Okay, so let's actually just get rid of these. I'm gonna do copy, I'm gonna do paste. I'm gonna go in here. I could move this note over here, but I'm lazy. So I'm just gonna move the play marker there, halfway through. Okay, what we need to do is now this needs a shift up. So this has to be like this. Yeah. Okay. That's me not really being in the flow tonight. And this is really boring stuff, right? As in, this is just like 4/4 to the floor. There's nothing very strange going on here. So let's try this again. Just gonna do it 1 for 1. So that's when the kick starts, but we want the snare to like start maybe here, right? Which could coincide with the kick, which is okay. Let's do this. Let's put that there for now. Let's grab this one, paste it there. So now I want these to start in between the kicks. right? I mean, that's traditionally how most dance music works anyway. So let's go here, let's go here. Oh, we're just going to move them one to the side, so they're just falling between the kicks. I could move the play marker, but I'll just do it like this for now. Control C, Control V. So that was the problem. Our kick and snare gates are always happening on the same count, which is like really kind of boring. We shouldn't have to remap the MIDI stuff because Live doesn't map that to an actual clip. It maps it to the actual slot. All right, so let's go. Let's just try like this. I'm just not too happy with the smooth motion, basically. I mean, it seems to work. Whoa! Yeah, this is all way too frantic, that's all. It's all just way too busy. Alright, let's go over. Let's turn this off. Just one moment, I'm just going to close my window, the neighborhood's getting rowdy. I mean, like this is actually not too bad. Just got the feeling that the smooth is just it's kind of, it doesn't have the attack transient in, but that kind of makes sense because you know, it's a number like between -20 and 20. There's no way to say I want those transients to be kept with that kind of information. Okay. So just to show you something there, so like we've got this half trigger, quarter trigger, so we can determine like how often this is happening with like how often we modulo. So this is on 4, right? So every time it hits 0, yeah, then it's on a downbeat. And so if we put this on 2, this is going to happen like twice as much, basically. Put it on 4. Let's not play with that now. That's just a wild idea for later. I'm just curious why this one is just going so completely bonkers. Let's take a peek. All right, kick gate. That's this one. Let's take a look what's happening here. Kick trigger. Snare trigger, kick trigger. A lot of that stuff there. Is that even being used? I don't think so. There was something left over. Now we're doing a render to texture here. Okay, so well, I'm not too sure what's going on. Okay, this was the outside cube, right? So I'm going to press D to bypass. Okay, so that's the inner cube. I'm going to go ahead and press D to bypass. Okay, so I'm just going to disconnect this for a minute. I'm just gonna look at these numbers, like, why is it going so crazy here? Like, why is this so mad fast? Now, this is happening with the kick trigger. So this is very jittery. That explains why this is a bit, iffy right now. So let's maybe put it on a quarter. Let's maybe put this on an eighth. Yeah, so this was great in that set from Obverse, but this is like audio reactive now. Okay, this makes sense now. All right, so the eighth trigger is a little bit too much. So let's do this one actually on a half. Just want to slow it down. Okay. Yeah, this is with that kick gate. It's probably this one. Let's take a peek. So if I click this one now, it's going to go way faster with the kick gate. See? That's that MIDI note. I'm going to put this one half speed. I'm going to put it on its slowest. Okay, and this one. Triggers a random number, smooth HSB to RGB. Okay, I'm just really curious here what's causing all this like mad freak out on the screen. Yeah, so it's basically all this stuff going in there. All right. So yeah, I mean, we spent quite a while tweaking it in the previous stream to get it right. Okay, now I see it. Gonna make it snappier. Okay. So let's put this on 1-1. Ah, okay. And basically this is working. Right. Okay, yeah. Basically, I just got these triggers just like way too high. Half and a quarter is already pretty fast. I just have the feeling that I'll have to slow down. And this is when you kind of like want to bypass stuff, like when you can. So this is getting this kick gate, but I think that's just like a little bit too intense, basically. Let's put this in a half. Okay. Do want to do this with a kick gate. Because this boolean M is going really rapidly from 1 to 0. So this is an interesting thing now, you know. So I can go into live. This is why live's really cool. Okay. I can go to this kick gate, go to the track, I'm gonna click here, and I'm gonna go to Midi Effects, and let's just grab note length. Let's get a MIDI. This is just rough right now, so there's nothing set in stone. Let's grab this one on the top right there. So what that means is I can now make the MIDI note longer, right? I hope that's visible. Sorry guys, trying to keep track of. No, that's not visible. Okay, let's pull this over. It's Sorry, too much MIDI gear to fit on tonight. So it's this knob right here. So I'm using that to change the length of a note, right? Because what's happening is the Boolean that's like how long the note is, right? So if I'm going to turn this up now, voila, as we can see, it's way too long. So let's lower it now. So this is really cool because basically I'm just using like a MIDI note as like an on-off. You know, if I turn this down, it's going to become almost pretty much 0, right? Just crank that up a touch. So there's my MIDI note. So that's having this effect, right? Where that is snappy. But if I'm now going to turn this up, as you can see, it takes longer. And you can do such amazing stuff with this, right? With just like combining this all together. And I know this can be really overwhelming if you've not seen all this before. The trick is just to get like one little setup and then just learn these basics basically. Now, don't forget this thing that I'm doing here, like right now with note length. All of these ideas are interchangeable with each other. That's just the equivalent of the smooth op inside of cables, right? So, you know, you create a number from 0 to 1 and you add a longer smooth factor to it. So you give it a fast transient, so it goes immediately up and then it goes down. So I'm just using live because it's very familiar to me. Been using this bad boy since version 2. But it'd be really interesting to like try and do this without live, I think, in the next one, just for the people that don't have a couple of €100 for this software. And I think it's a really interesting thing to pull this off in cables. I did a lot back in the past with Maximus P, with generative sequencers, step sequencers and things like that. So this is just like this is just a quick and easy way to get stuff going, basically. All right, so let's get that audio analysis a bit back in. Now, of course, this one also needs a little tweak. So we're going to go to scene 3. And these visuals are really built with that specific set, so it might just be cool just to do them a bit from scratch, but keep the whole idea. But just, yeah, okay. Quarter trigger. Once again, that's really way too much. Like, let's put it on a half. Yeah, this one is doing nothing. Wow, what's this? Ah, wow, all right. Forgot about that one. Sweet. Okay, what's happening? So, we used the preset up here. That's kind of cool. So this is what I mean. This is using the kick trigger, which can be pretty intense. We've got some here, the profit gate. We're not using that, right? That's non-existent right now. Yeah, so these all have to slow down a little bit. Half trigger. Just going through it. General little tweaks. As you can see, it's calming down a little bit now. So, you know, if we... So now we've turned off the audio analysis with the kick and the snare. And as you can see, it's chilled out a little bit. Now, if there's a kick or a snare gate in here, they're going to be controlled by this. So let's resync. Still way too active for me right now, but it's okay. You got to start somewhere. I think there's just too much reacting to the... let me just look at this. Brightness 0, so it's not changing color. I'm not too sure what that was doing. Right, okay. Let's go here. So let's get rid of that profit gate for now. I'll just leave that there as a kind of reminder. And let's grab the kick gate. So So now I can turn that note length up, becomes longer. Yeah, the only problem is there's just some really crazy values going on here with the numbers. I'm going to put this on 1-1. Don't want it happening so much. So if I don't know what everything is doing, we just got to go here and just kind of like check this out. I mean, I think it's this part here. Yeah, so this is where most of that business is coming from. Yeah, these all transform to view. Quarter trigger, so let's put it on a half. And I'm just going for timing right now. Quarter. I'm also going to put this in 1-1. It's just too busy. I want to get it back to a nice speed before I round it off for tonight later. Okay, this is feeling more relaxed now, not sort of controlled. Because I mean, the obverse Ableton Live set, you know, that was like really a very precise set. It was also a minimal track. There was a lot of space in there. And this mix from Ronnie is a lot more upbeat and a lot busier. So yeah, but I mean, the system's getting there. You know what, just before I round it off for tonight, I'm going to do this. I love this part of the mix. Super cool. All right, let's go here. I'm just going to do something really simple. I'm going to grab a transform. This is just going to be so quick and easy. Let's just create a sub patch. We're going to call it patch 4. Scene select, this is from the sidebar, only goes from 0, 1, and 2. So we need to increase its range by 1 to 3. All right, this is going to make everything vanish, probably. That's what keeps that in the memory. All right, I'm not sure exactly how I set this up last time. I think I did everything with a render to texture. Really don't remember. Just give me a minute. It has been a while. How does this go again? So it goes to a render to texture called more cubes. Let's try that. So let's just go here. Render to texture. And let's just go down to mesh instancer. I love mesh instancer. I should just get like a tattoo of mesh instancing. I think it's just so good. Get a cube, cool. Var set texture, if I'm correct, and we go to. That is unusual. All right. Var set texture. Not sure what's going on there. All right, let me just jump to another patch. Check it out. Press C. Ah, must be because there's a new version available. Right, okay. Just gonna grab this. So sometimes you get that, we're still working on our versioning system. So the reason the variable didn't appear is because the old the var set texture was version 1, and what I just created now, it gives me version 2. That's why the variable names don't match up. Hey, there we go. All right, cool. Okay. So let's make this bad boy a little bit smaller. Got the tiny humble little cube there. So let's grab a random numbers array 3 for positions. Cool, nice and easy. Let's grab another one, and let's go from a range of 0 to, let's go from a range of 1 to 4. Cool. And we're gonna do, we're gonna make them integer. I'm gonna do array multiply by 90. So they're gonna rotate 0, 90, 180, or 270 degrees. I wanna make sure these are all the same length. So total point is X, Y, Z. I'm gonna grab that and pull that up here. Quick, easy way to get something going. Let's plug this into rotations. Not going to see much difference because the cubes aren't that long yet. That's pretty long. Okay, and let's turn off that global effect so we can see what's happening. That looks a bit boring because there's no real material stuff going on there. So let's go here and grab the Lambert material to get some shading. Kinky. All right, cool. So let's now go and just grab a part of the patch because there's no point in rebuilding this all from scratch again. Let's go to patch 1. And what I'm looking for now is just something with this. Sweet. So it's just the trigger counter, modulo, if it's equal to 0, trigger change true. Great. Now something I've got to do that I keep forgetting is this. I cannot believe I've not done this yet in the last few streams. Bookmarking. It's a really cool thing in cables and I still forget to do it. I click this sub patch. Let's go in there. Okay. Let me just click this and I'm gonna bookmark it. Okay. Now let's go to patch 2 and I'll just go to render to texture, like the top here. Like this sequence, and I'm gonna bookmark it. I'll label this later. I just want to do this now before I forget. So I'm gonna go in. Let's go here. Actually, let's do render to texture. I'm gonna bookmark. So if you want to use a bookmark, you just click in the canvas there, and these are the bookmarks right here. So I should relabel these ops. But if I now click this, I jump into patch 1. So let's do this actually. Just gonna call it P1. Cool. I'm gonna go here. Click this. P2. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna call it P3. It's just a great way to navigate your patches. Okay, let's go into patch 4, go here, bookmark. So now I don't have to go up to main and then jump into the patch again. I just like click one of these and as you can see I just jump from patch 4 straight into patch 1, click somewhere in the canvas, click here, jump to patch 4. Great, okay. So now here, great, it still had it in the paste memory, great. Let's move this up a little bit. Alright, so this should be giving me a random number once in a while. So now let's plug that into seed. And we got to the end of the mix again. Oh, something happened. Just started again. All right. And this random number, I'm just going to get a different one. And I'm going to plug that in here. And I'm going to be really lazy right now. And I'm just going to grab Smooth Array. Smooth Array needs a trigger. Cool. Let's grab another copy of it. This is just to get one little thing going. Okay, so if we turn this on, I think that zoom blur is taking the snare gate. That is the kick gate, okay. Of course it feels too long. We're using this note length. Yeah, that was it, the note length. Okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah, so the time in those MIDI notes is just like way too much. Okay, so now I can use a bookmark. I can just jump in here. So now the cool part is we can just get this whole chain here. And just gonna grab this. You know, I'm just starting again in a smaller patch. It's kind of feeling a little bit overwhelming with the whole massive patches from the previous streams. Of course, I don't remember exactly how I put them all together. So let's do this. Integer. Let's do 1, 2, 4. I'm going to multiply by 90. I'm going to plug that into a smooth. Just grab this, pull it down. Okay. Yeah, this is the difference now of like building it from scratch with this setup compared to trying to make a previous setup with a lot of tweaking in there. Just work out the box. It's really not that simple. And so we've got a few jaggies there. So we go to this render to texture. We're just going to put the MSAA on ×4. That's already more than enough to get those jaggies out of the way. All right, so this is a really nice simple one. And now I'm just going to do some really simple stuff. I'm just going to grab this And this is going to be slightly messy with the patching, but that's okay. Grab this, and let's just pull all this up. Let's move this actually over here for now. Boom, and boom. So all I want to do is, when trigger change true, I want to trigger that, and I want to trigger this. So now I'm going to say, go between -2 and 2, integer, don't need a multiply, and let's just do trigger receive, because I want to add the gates in a minute. I just want to get a basic thing down. So I'm just going to grab good old T1. This also goes in here. Alright, so this one I'm just going to plug into position X. And that of course is way too much. So let's just do -1 by 1. -1, 0. When in doubt, just try it out. I just do this. It might have been the wrong way around. Oh no, minus, so let's say -2 or -1. That was it. So -2 or -1. Now I'm going to plug that into position X. And actually, let's get the kick trigger. So that's going to be from the controllers here. If I'm correct. Yeah, so now we start the kick trigger. So this one now, we're actually going to move back and forth, and we're going to put that on the snare trigger. And this one we're going to put on the Z axis. So say -2 to 0. Okay. Get rid of that multiply. -2 to 0. Whoops. And this we're now going to plug into transform on the Z axis. Let's see if we can get that hi-hat. Yeah, there we go. Lower that Q a bit. There we go. Close enough. Maybe I should have just started with this at the start of the set. It might have been easier for everybody to follow. But yeah, I have no idea what I'm going to do most of the time when I'm going to start these sets. Yeah, okay, I should have just started with this, but I was really just curious if I could just like patch everything in or not. Okay, you know, this could be more interesting. Yeah, let's put it on 45. So it'll rotate 45 and 90 degrees. There we go. Ta-da. Okay. Can make them less on the screen. Yeah, okay. I like. All right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so basically all those other visuals, they just need to be tweaked right from the ground up with this new audio analysis set, you know, because the whole idea is to make VJ software which can run in a club. I mean, I would totally love to be able to, after the whole COVID-19 thing has kind of passed, do some visuals in a club somewhere here in Berlin. That would be amazing. Probably find somebody to spin some tunes though in an empty venue just to try it out, like get a feel for it. So yeah, okay. You know, I think I'm gonna leave it at this for tonight. I already think it's been pretty cool progress with the whole audio analysis and the BPM tapsing. I put too much time into trying to get these old patches to work with one live set and then a completely different setup. But hey, you know, this is building your own creative software, right? Whatever environment you use, hopefully you use cables, because it takes time, it takes experimentation. You know, these things are not just like put together on the first attempt. You know, it just takes time to make these things work the way that you want them to, basically. So I mean, I'm pretty happy with how this has gone. There's a lot of more things to tweak and a lot more things to try. I'm really curious about trying it in a stream with recreating the functionality of Ableton Live, but without Ableton Live, because I'm very aware that a lot of our cables users, you know, don't have access to Ableton Live. It's a program that costs money, obviously, because it's really good software. So it might be really nice for me to just make a stream where instead of like focusing so much on building the VJ software, just trying to show you how to recreate some of the functionality of Ableton Live with just cables. I think that could be a really cool episode, actually. It might not be so visually amazing, but I think that'd be really, I think it would have a lot of utility for people that really want to build their own VJ software inside of something like cables. It's gone a little bit quiet in the room. I get it. It's been a very technical episode tonight. It's not been so focused so much on the pretty stuff, even though I think it's pretty nice what's coming up there. Hey, so I'm gonna just ask, does anybody have any questions? I've not been asked one tonight, which is a rare thing, but I get it. Like, I think this is a very specialized kind of thing. But who knows, maybe somebody has a question before I wrap it up for tonight. I'll just give it a minute or two. And it doesn't only have to be about the VJ software, right? This is your chance to ask anything you just might want to know about cables in general. All right, don't think there's going to be any questions tonight then. Okay, well, I'd like to give a big thank you to everybody that came in tonight and followed along with the stream. Once again, a little bit different than what we usually do, even with the VJ software stuff that I've been working on. I'd also like to give a big thank you to Ronnie for supplying us with this mix. There's another two that I can use, so I'm really, really happy about that. And I'm going to continue in this direction now with the whole VJ software thing, step off the one tweaked Ableton Live file and go into the world of audio analysis and live tapping along with the beat. So let's head in here and unfortunately put this stuff to a stop. Where did I put it? Audio stuff. There we go. All right. So that was it. Thank you very much. See you in the next stream. I don't think I'll be doing one next week because doing one every week was becoming kind of intense. I'm not too sure if we will be doing a stream with Undev next week. Just keep your eyes open on the social media channels, mainly Twitter, on our Facebook page as well. In case you missed it, we brought out 1 or 2 blog posts with the last Twitch stream or two, a lot of really cool patches and some stuff there that you can see. So if you missed that, maybe you want to check that out on the Cables GL blog. And that's a wrap. So I hope you are all well in these interesting times, and can't wait to see what you guys are going to make with Cables. All right, have a good one. Bye.